Hi, my name's Jamie Schmidt, and welcome to my premiere episode of DBT in 5. This is going to be my pet project for 2021. Each week I'm going to get on and share a couple of the skills straight from the book, going in order, in a really quick and abbreviated format, just like a Cliff Note. So just enough to give you a sampling that you could go out and apply this stuff in your life and start seeing some of these abilities to change your behaviors, change your thoughts, and change your emotions that DBT offers for so many people. So I am starting from the very beginning, and all of my things will reference this, Marsha Linehan's Big Blue Bible of DBT, the DBT Skills training, handouts, and worksheets. I highly recommend you getting this if you plan on following through with this series. Worth the investment, $30, because you can fill in all your own worksheets. Totally worth it. All right, so general handout 1 is where we are today, and this is very beginning stuff. Goals of skills training. In DBT, there are 5 things we're looking to decrease in our life and 4 things we're looking to increase. And that's what we do with our manualized skills approach. So what are those 5 things? The first thing is mindlessness. Mindlessness is any time we're not being mindful, whether this is if we're anxious and thinking about the future, or maybe we're sad and thinking about how things aren't good like they used to be in the past. Mindlessness is when we're not connected to the present moment. Mindlessness also has things like judgmentalness and assumptions. Anytime we're doing those, we're not being mindful. So we want to decrease that in our life. We want to have more time where we are mindful, less time where we're mindless. Thing number 2 we want to decrease is interpersonal conflict. We want to have less struggles with other people, whether we have struggles across the board with people, or maybe we just have problems in one arena. That's really common, that you're like great at work with coworkers, you're great in your relationship with your spouse, but maybe you really struggle with your parents. Things like that, where we need to have a skill set that helps us develop better relationships. And the other thing we want to have less of in interpersonal issues is the opposite side of conflict. So the isolation and the loneliness, that people who have conflict also kind of cycle between this, right? I have periods where I'm involved with people and it's stressful, and then I have periods where I completely withdraw because my conflict has made my life so unhappy. Want to decrease that. Okay, thing number 3 we want to decrease is difficulties with change. I don't remember who said it, but like change is the only constant in life. And that is so true. As human beings, the most adaptable and resilient people are capable of handling change and going with the flow. And so if you have struggles with change, if change brings about negative emotions, then we want to work on letting that go so that we can just be more in the flow of life and accepting that like things are going to be different tomorrow than they were today. And man, wasn't 2020 a lesson in that. Okay. Number 4, the thing we want to decrease, mood-dependent behaviors and extreme cycling of up and down emotions. So if you are a person like me who has big emotions, you may have struggled when you were young to like regulate them, to make good choices because of them, because you get in this like, oh, I'm sad right now, I must always feel sad. And you struggle to build a life because your emotions kind of get in the way. And so we want to have less mood-dependent behaviors. We want to have a plan for approaching extreme emotions and how do we handle them when they occur. And the 5th thing we want to decrease is impulsive behaviors. Anything that like in a moment can really create destruction in our life. So this could be big things like addiction and really acting out ways. Could be really dangerous stuff too, like self-harming. These things always get in the way of building a life worth living. They always are going to be a roadblock to us having the life we desire. So we want less impulsive behaviors because those are not building blocks for a life worth living at all. So what are the 4 things we want to increase? We want to increase mindfulness. We want to be present in the current moment. We want to focus on being effective, letting go of idea of what's right and what's wrong, figuring out a life that works for us. We want to focus on being non-judgmental, learning to observe things as they are and let our evaluative things go to the wayside because they just increase negative emotions most of the time. We want to focus on being grounded and centered in current and letting go of those anxious emotions or those depressed emotions that are centered on a time that we're not actually experiencing now. Mindfulness is our foundation for everything, and it runs through all of DBT. Second thing we want to increase is interpersonal effectiveness, skills for handling those tough relationships in our life. What's a framework for how do I ask for things? How do I set boundaries? Where do I draw limits with people? And what's okay to have as a limit for myself, personally, romantically, with family? All those things improve in personal effectiveness. Third thing we want to improve is emotion regulation, skills for understanding and changing our emotions. Emotions are something we have every second of every day, and we all experience them. And yet most of us have no formal education on them. Our emotion regulation skills, that module is all about emotions 101. Why do we feel them? How do we label them properly? When does it make sense to have them? And what do we do if we're having emotions that don't really make sense? Do we have the power to change them? Not always, but we have more power than we think. Emotion regulation. And our final thing is distress tolerance. How do we get through those crisis situations, those times when we have impulsive urges without making our life worse? What do we do to get to a place where I can have a bad thing happen and not spiral out of control? Skills for really heightened emotions. So when we increase these 4 things, we automatically decrease these 5 things. We have more control of our life, more control of our emotions, and that's the journey we're going to be on this year. I hope you come back and join us. If you have anybody that's looking for some DBT info and maybe not ready to join a skills group but wants to get some of this knowledge in, share this, tag them. I'd love to be a part of their journey, and looking forward to seeing y'all next time. Have a good one.